A simple mindset will change the way you think, choose, and move for the rest of your life. Because it doesn't just help you live better, it helps you become stronger, more disciplined, and more trustworthy every single day. You see, most people live trapped in a loop of overthinking, emotional noise, and fear of what might go wrong. But a simple mindset cuts through all that. It brings clarity. It silences the mental chaos. It gives you back control. When you train your mind to focus only on what matters, you stop reacting and start responding. You stop chasing and start building. You stop doubting and start moving with confidence. This isn't about being perfect. It's about being present. It's about seeing what's real, cutting out what's useless, and choosing action over anxiety. Because once you simplify your mindset, everything changes. Your focus sharpens. Your energy returns. Your time finally feels like it's yours again. And that's what this video is about. Not just changing your life, but changing how you think about your life so you can live it on your terms. So if you've been stuck, distracted, overwhelmed, or just tired of feeling like your day runs you instead of the other way around, this message is for you. Tap like if that hits home, hit subscribe so you never miss a moment of clarity again. And share this video with someone who needs a mental reset. Because sometimes, one mindset shift is all it takes. Let's begin. 1. Accept reality before you try to fix it. Don't start with what do I want? Start with what is the truth? That single shift in mindset is the foundation of every strong, grounded, and clear decision you'll ever make. When you resist reality because it doesn't match your expectations, you don't just delay progress, you blind yourself. And when you're blind, you walk in circles, calling it effort. We've all been there. You want peace, but your mind is screaming. You want control, but your actions are driven by impulse. You want growth, but you're still clinging to how things should have been. That's the trap. Thinking clarity comes from fixing the world, when in truth, it begins with facing it as it is. Imagine trying to clean a room in total darkness. You stumble, you knock things over, you waste time fixing what wasn't broken. That's what happens when we refuse to see our situation honestly. Whether it's a failed relationship, a lost opportunity, or the fear that whispers in your quiet moments, your first task is not to run from it. Your first task is to name it. Because reality is not your enemy. Denial is. You want to calm your mind? Do you want inner peace? Then stop lying to yourself about what's going on. Simplicity starts with truth. It's not the fancy rituals or perfect habits. It's the courage to say, this is where I am right now, even when it hurts. The mind becomes powerful when it aligns with what's real. When you stop needing things to be different just to feel okay. That's the core of emotional discipline. That's how you stop the constant distraction, the time anxiety, the fear of falling behind. You're not behind. You're exactly where your choices brought you. And that's not an insult. That's your starting point. Most people live in stories. Stories of I should have gotten more, or they shouldn't have treated me that way. Those stories sound like reflections, but they're not. They're noise, mental clutter that blocks the signal of action. The Stoics knew this. Epictetus said, "It's not events that disturb us, but our judgment about them." And your judgment begins with what you allow yourself to see. Stop negotiating with reality. Start observing it. Because the moment you accept things as they are, you unlock the ability to move forward with purpose. You stop pouring energy into imaginary battles and start investing it into real change. And here's the truth. Most of your suffering doesn't come from what is, it comes from your refusal to accept it. So today, do one thing. Sit down and name the facts. No judgment, no spin, just the truth. Say it out loud if you need to. This is my situation. This is what's in my control. This is what's not. That simple clarity may not feel heroic, but it's where every real transformation begins. Don't chase what's next before you fully face what is. Because the future you want doesn't grow from avoidance. It grows from awareness. And that's the mindset that changes everything. 2. Train your focus like a sword or muscle. Every behavior begins with attention. Where you place it decides what grows in your life. Most people don't lack talent, discipline, or even opportunity. They lack the ability to focus. Not because they're weak, but because they never trained it. In a world designed to fracture your attention into 1,000 pieces, being able to hold your mind steady is no longer optional. It's survival. Let's define it plainly. Focus isn't just about ignoring distractions. It's about choosing what matters, and choosing it again and again. Like a sword, it must be sharpened. Like a muscle, it must be worked. Without training, your attention will drift to the loudest noise, the newest notification, the most recent disappointment. And just like that, you spend your days reacting instead of creating, waiting instead of moving, wanting instead of building. But here's where the shift begins. If you want a better life, you don't start by doing more. You start by subtracting what doesn't deserve your focus. This is the mindset that changes everything. You realize your energy is finite, and so you guard it. You treat your attention like it matters, because it does. Whatever gets it, gets to shape you. Still, most people chase goals without noticing how their focus is bleeding out in small leaks. Doom scrolling, pointless arguments, envy loops, and compulsive multitasking. Then they wonder why life feels scattered and progress feels slow. The Stoics knew this well. They warned us not to waste what's most precious, time and thought. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You become what you give your attention to." That's not a metaphor, it's a warning. Now think of it like this. A warrior doesn't bring their sword to every fight, they bring it to the right one. Likewise, you must train your focus not to attack everything, but to direct it where growth happens, reading instead of scrolling, planning instead of worrying, creating instead of consuming. It's not about being perfect, it's about being deliberate. Try this. For the next hour, choose one thing and one thing only and give it your full attention. No split screen, no backup tab, just presence. Watch what happens. At first, your mind will resist, but that's how you know you're training. Over time, this becomes a habit of strength. You'll notice more, think clearly, waste less, and most importantly, you'll start to live with intention. This mindset isn't flashy. It doesn't promise instant results, but it builds something rare in this world: inner stillness. When you train your focus, you gain something deeper than productivity. You gain power over your day. You stop living reactively and start leading yourself. That's when life changes, not because you did more, but because you mastered the one thing that controls everything else: attention. 3. Don't let emotions drive your decisions. Stoic teaches that emotions are not the enemy, but a tool that must be trained and tamed. The problem begins when that tool picks up the sword and leads the charge. A hurt ego lashes out. A bruised pride shuts down. But the part of you that's angry, fearful, desperate, or jealous, it isn't built to lead. It's built to signal. Like pain in the body, emotion alerts the mind. But what happens when we treat that signal as a command? That's when we spiral. That's when we make choices that sabotage the very life we're trying to build. You want clarity, you want progress, you want peace. But if your mind is hijacked by emotional noise, you'll keep mistaking reactivity for action. You'll keep reacting to things that don't even matter in the long run. And that's the trap. We think emotion is truth. But emotion is just energy. It passes. What's true is what remains when the energy fades. That's why successful people, those with mental discipline and emotional self-control, don't make decisions in emotional peaks or valleys. They pause. They let the wave pass. They act from stillness, not heat. In today's world, the ability to stay calm isn't a bonus. It's a requirement. Everything is built to trigger you. The news, the algorithm, the noise around you. If you let emotions sit in the driver's seat, your days become reactions, not creations. The Stoics didn't suppress emotion. They mastered it. They knew it was there, but they chose not to be owned by it. That's the mindset that changes how you move through life. You stop needing to prove something. You stop chasing emotional highs. You stop fearing emotional lows. You shift from emotional slavery to emotional freedom. That's what inner peace looks like. Not the absence of emotion, but the ability to sit with it, question it, and respond with clarity. Think of your mind like a courtroom. Emotion is a passionate witness, often loud, sometimes wrong. But reason is the judge. Let them both speak, but don't let the witness deliver the verdict. There are moments you'll feel the urge to yell, run, quit, or confess, but those are moments to breathe. To wait, to center. Let the body heat cool. Let the thought pass through without attachment. You don't need to silence the emotion. You just need to stop letting it run your life. Start practicing small. The next time someone cuts you off in traffic, or your boss says something triggering, or you feel like everything is against you, pause. Just pause. Let that space grow between emotion and action. That's your freedom. That space is where power lives. You don't owe the world your instant reaction. You owe yourself your highest response. And that response begins in silence. So train that space, grow it, return to it. And soon you'll see, the less you react, the more you control, not others but yourself. And once you control yourself, the world starts to shift. Not because it changed, but because you did. 4. Detach from what you can't control. If you tie your happiness to what you cannot govern, disappointment will follow you like a shadow. Most suffering doesn't come from pain itself. It comes from resisting outcomes we can't command. A flight delay, a boss's mood, someone else's opinion, the weather, the market, even the love we wish would stay, none of it bends to our will. Yet we spend our energy clinging, forcing, trying to pull the world into our shape. The result? Exhaustion, bitterness, confusion. But what if clarity begins where control ends? In Stoic thought, there is a sacred boundary. On one side, what's up to us, our effort, our mindset, our choices. On the other side, everything else. When you blur that line, you suffer needlessly. You feel like you failed when things don't go your way, even if you acted with excellence. But if you focus only on what you can control, you reclaim your peace. You move through life like a steady flame, not swayed by the wind, not grasping for smoke. Imagine standing at the edge of the ocean, shouting at the tide to stop. It won't. You can scream, plead, rage, but the water keeps moving. You can't change the wave. But you can step back, you can build a wall, you can walk away. That's detachment. It's not weakness, it's wisdom. Not apathy, but precision. It's the decision to act fully and let go gracefully. The modern world trains us to chase everything. Results, people, outcomes, validation. But chasing creates a subtle fear. A fear that if we stop running, everything will fall apart. That fear drives poor decisions. It leads to micromanaging relationships, obsessing over timelines, and forcing outcomes that aren't ready. And ironically, that neediness pushes the very things we want further away. That's why the simple mindset, detach from what you can't control, is powerful, because it flips the script. It says, I will show up fully, but I will not be owned by outcomes. The Stoics weren't cold or indifferent. They simply understood that desire without boundaries becomes slavery. To want love is human. To try to control love is misery. To care about your career is wise. To panic every time something delays your progress is not. The peace you seek doesn't come from making life bend. It comes from bending your expectations toward reality. You do your part, then let it go. Here's a practice. The next time something doesn't go your way, pause. Ask, was this ever in my control? If not, breathe. Step back. Refocus on what is yours, your next move, your thoughts, your attitude. You'll find that peace isn't something you chase. It's what shows up when you stop gripping so tightly. So today, loosen your grip. Act with intention, not attachment. Let the world move how it will while you stand anchored. Not passive, not weak, just grounded in what is real. Because your mind becomes powerful the moment it stops chasing shadows and starts walking in light. 5. Say no to useless pleasure. True freedom is the power to say no to pleasures that feel good but slowly rot your discipline. Think of it this way. A man who can't turn down the second donut isn't free. He's polite about his prison, but a prisoner nonetheless. We live in a culture that equates happiness with indulgence. The more you binge, the more you're winning. But look closer. That extra slice of cake, the 5th hour of scrolling, the weekend lost to comfort. What do they actually give you? A moment of sugar, a dose of dopamine, and then guilt, fog, and distraction. The cycle repeats, and we call it normal. The Stoics had a different definition of happiness. To them, pleasure wasn't the goal. It was a test. Can you sit with discomfort? Can you say no when your body screams yes? Can you walk past what tempts you because your vision is stronger than your cravings? That's where power begins. It's not sexy. It won't trend, but it's the quiet seed of a life you control. Let's step back. Pleasure in itself isn't the enemy. A meal with loved ones, a good book, a quiet sunset, these bring joy. The problem is in excess, in dependence. When your peace relies on comfort, you're already losing it. You need one more show to feel okay, one more drink to feel relaxed, one more hour to feel rested. It's a chasing game, and the more you chase, the less you feel alive. There's a simple mindset shift that changes everything. Not everything that feels good is good for you. Let that sink in. Discipline isn't just about saying no to pain, it's about saying no to fake comfort. When you stop needing the soft pillow of momentary ease, you discover the hard floor of inner peace. You wake up clearer, you act faster, you decide rather than drift. Pleasure becomes a choice, not a chain. Imagine your mind like a room. Every time you say yes to useless pleasure, you fill it with clutter. At first, it feels cozy, then it's crowded, then you can't breathe. But when you begin removing what's not essential, late-night binges, endless dopamine hits, lazy distractions, you create space. And in that space, purpose lives. Vision sharpens, energy returns. Many people fear saying no because they think it means losing joy. But it's the opposite. You're not rejecting joy, you're upgrading it. You're trading sugar highs for strength, trading quick relief for deep confidence. You're not numbing pain, you're growing through it. That's what builds the version of you you've been chasing. So here's the practice. Tonight, when the urge comes, one more episode, one more scroll, one more bite, pause, breathe. Ask yourself, does this serve who I'm becoming? If the answer is no, walk away. Not in anger, not in guilt, but in quiet mastery. You'll sleep better, you'll wake clearer. And in time, you'll feel a different kind of pleasure. The pleasure of knowing you're finally in control. 6. Stick to one clear path, even if you walk it alone. The long road doesn't test your speed. It tests your ability to keep walking when no one claps, when no one notices, and when no one believes in your direction but you. That's where clarity matters more than applause. You can chase after every opinion, or you can build a life that doesn't shatter every time someone disapproves. And to do that, you must choose your path and stay on it. Most people don't quit because they're weak. They quit because they get distracted. They start something with intention, but the moment someone else questions it, or something shinier shows up, they swerve. They abandon the hard, invisible work for the instant dopamine of being seen or liked. But there's a cost to that detour, your identity. Because every time you bend your path for someone else's comfort, you lose a piece of who you are. This is why most dreams never materialize, not because people don't try, but because they never stay. Discipline is not just showing up, it's showing up on the same road, even when it's quiet, even when no one is watching, even when it feels lonely, especially then. And here's where the mindset shift happens. When you stop needing validation, when you stop needing every step to feel exciting or be approved by others, you become unstoppable. It's not that pain disappears or doubt goes away. It's that those things no longer get to vote. When you decide that your path is yours, not up for debate, not subject to applause, you begin to walk with power, not hesitation. It helps to think of your life like carving a sculpture. Each stroke shapes something invisible into something meaningful. But if you keep switching between tools, or worse, start sculpting based on the voices in the crowd, you'll never finish. Worse, you'll forget what you were even trying to carve in the first place. The Stoics taught that self-direction is freedom, not in doing whatever you feel like in the moment, but in doing what your higher self has committed to, regardless of momentary feelings. That's what it means to walk your path. Not because it's trending, not because it makes sense to everyone else, but because it's rooted in who you're choosing to become. If you want to live with peace, not performance, you have to stop auditioning for people who don't even understand your role. You have to be okay being misunderstood. You have to train yourself to love the silence that comes with focus. And this is where the mindset that changes everything begins. You don't need everyone to walk with you. You just need the strength to walk straight. Every day, remind yourself, your path is sacred. It doesn't have to be crowded. It just has to be true. So walk it with clarity. Walk it with discipline. Walk it even if you walk it alone. 7. Respond slowly, but act sharply. You don't have to react fast. You only need to react right. In a world obsessed with immediacy, silence is often mistaken for weakness. But what if the real strength lies in restraint? What if the most powerful move you could ever make is to pause, breathe, and then strike with clarity? Life throws punches, people test you, deadlines press in, and everywhere you look, someone's telling you to move fast and break things. But when your mind is noisy and reactive, speed isn't power, it's chaos. What you truly need is control, precision, the ability to respond like a still lake, not a boiling pot. There's a calmness you can train, and once you have it, Every reaction becomes a decision, not a reflex. We often confuse slowness with weakness and speed with strength, but the Stoics saw it differently. They believed in aphilia, grace in action, the ability to see clearly, decide carefully, and act without unnecessary drama. You don't shout, you don't swing wildly. You see what matters, wait for your moment, and then move with intention. The world rewards this kind of presence, even if it doesn't understand it at first. Think about the chess master. He doesn't rush. He waits, observes, calculates, and when he moves, it's checkmate. Your life needs the same sharp focus. In arguments, in business, in personal goals, you don't need to react to every distraction. You need to develop response discipline. Let others flail. Let them post, rant, panic. You train yourself to hold your center, to see beyond the noise, to act only when the time is right. This shift begins with a simple practice. Pause. One breath before the reply. One moment of clarity before the decision. It sounds small, but it changes everything. Because when you stop reacting emotionally, you start responding intelligently. And when your actions are rooted in clarity, not chaos, they carry a power that speed alone can't match. The common mistake? Thinking success belongs to the loudest, fastest, or most visible. But watch closely. True power moves quietly. It's not in a rush, it's in the timing. In a culture that rewards noise, stillness becomes your superpower, like the archer who pulls the string back slowly before releasing a single arrow straight into the target. The mindset that changes your life is not built on urgency. It's built on clarity. What you want doesn't come when you chase it anxiously. It comes when your mind is still and your actions are sharp. So the next time you feel provoked, pulled, or pressured, don't jump. Wait. Let your clarity grow. Let your reactions slow. And when you do act, make it count. One word, one move, one decision at the right time can shape everything. That's not slowness. That's strategy. And in the long game of life, strategy always wins. 8. Use everything life gives you. Even the hard things. Not everything that happens to you is good, but you can become better because of it. That's the shift. That's the mindset. Life doesn't handpick your challenges with fairness or convenience. It simply unfolds, unexpectedly, relentlessly, and often painfully. And yet, if you're willing, everything life throws at you, yes, even the mess, the loss, the heartbreak, can become fuel. It can forge something unshakable within you. We've been taught to avoid pain, to resist discomfort, to wish hard moments away as if they don't belong. But what if the exact moments you want to forget are the ones you're meant to use? What if strength isn't found in the absence of hardship, but in your ability to turn hardship into meaning? Most people spend their days wishing life were easier, waiting for clarity to appear, success to arrive, peace to settle in, only when everything is better. But that's not how growth works. Waiting is a subtle form of needing, and needing is the fastest way to stay stuck. What you want, confidence, calm, discipline, peace, shows up when you stop resisting the now and start engaging with it fully, including the hard parts. Think of life like a forge. Fire doesn't destroy steel, it refines it. The pressure doesn't break you if you step into it with presence. A rough childhood, a failed relationship, a rejection, a layoff, these are not curses. They are raw materials. Not to deny or romanticize suffering, but to recognize that suffering, properly faced, contains power. The Stoics understood this. Epictetus was born a slave, Marcus Aurelius led during plague and war. They didn't chase comfort, they practiced presence. They didn't crumble under hardship, they turned it into training. And that's the invitation, to stop asking, why me, and start asking, what can I build with this? That shift rewires your mind. You go from I wish this didn't happen to this is mine to work with. Suddenly, life is not something happening to you. It becomes something you are shaping. And in shaping it, you are shaping yourself. Try this. Take one moment in your life that hurt deeply. Don't run from it. Sit with it. Then ask, what clarity did it give me? What strength did it demand from me? What skill did it help me build? If you really look, you'll find gold in the dirt. You'll find that life has been preparing you, not punishing you. You don't need perfect circumstances to build a good life. You need a clear decision that you will not waste what's been given, even the unwanted parts. The disappointment, the detours, the delays, they're not signs you're off track. They're part of your track. Use them. In a world obsessed with ease, choose growth. In a life full of unknowns, choose presence. And with everything life gives you, especially the hard things, choose to build. So now you've seen it. This simple mindset, when practiced daily, holds the power to reshape your thoughts, your emotions, and your entire direction in life. Not overnight, not in one grand gesture, but steadily through small choices, through inner discipline, through the daily act of choosing clarity over chaos, intention over impulse, and growth over comfort. Let's not forget what we've uncovered. You can calm your mind without escaping it. You can stop overthinking without losing your depth. You can silence your inner critic without silencing your ambition. And most importantly, you can build a strong inner life, a fortress of discipline, peace, and mental clarity that no circumstance can break. This is the way of mental mastery, and it begins in the quiet moments, how you wake up, how you respond, how you think when no one's watching. These are your real habits. This is how emotional self-control is forged, how identity shifts happen, how focus is reclaimed in a world that pulls you in 1,000 directions. Don't let this just be another video you watch. Let it be your turning point. Revisit it, reflect on it, practice it every day, especially on the hard days. Let this mindset become your discipline ritual, your reset button, your blueprint for a life of inner peace and true control. And as you apply these habits to organize your mind and life, share your journey below. What resonated most with you? Which shift are you working on first? Your comment might be the encouragement someone else needs to take control of their day, their emotions, and their purpose. Because in the end, your life won't change by accident. It will change when your mindset does. So start now, stay consistent, and don't stop until your thoughts obey your vision.